So now we made it to the Devil's Bathtub. Okay. And in order to talk about the Devil's Bathtub, we have to talk about geology of the area, right? Let me get back out of the way so you can see the Devil's Bathtub. So the Devil's Bathtub and the geology of the area, the Devil's Bathtub actually started out about the size of a 50-cent piece. So we're talking about this big. Okay. Pretty small, pretty small. Okay. And it was just a little pock mark in the rock. Okay. And over time, the water flowed through the area and sand started to deposit in the hole, in the pock mark, and started swirling around and started to carve out the hole a little bit more. So the water and sand eroded out the hole, flowing it more and more and more. And over time, the hole got bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger, okay? Until it is what you see today. Now the Devil's Bathtub is just about waist deep, so it's still not very deep at all, okay? And over time, within the next probably million years, it'll probably double or triple in size of what it is now, okay? But it still has to have the sand and silt deposit, and it has to have that water to flow to continue to cut out around the sides of it. Now, as you can see, you have a lot of different mosses and lichens growing along the sides, and down along the walls where the water is at, there is all kinds of mosses and lichens growing. So it's very, very slippery down along the walls of the Devil's Bathtub, okay? So if one was to go down in there, thinking that they're gonna go down in there and be cooled off, you would find that it would be very, very hard to get back out, okay? That's why we say do not go down in the Devil's Bathtub, because you cannot get back out. It's very, very slippery. So as the water moved around, it helped to cut out everything that you're seeing right now, okay? It just kept moving around. And of course, under the Earth's surface, plate tectonics played a part. And plate tectonics, they move around and they bounce off of each other. And most of the time, plate tectonics, they're pretty happy with each other and they just bounce off of each other. But every once in a while, the plates will hit into each other and push up. And what happens when plates hit each other and push? Mountains are formed. And in the east, these plates hit each other and pushed up and formed a mountain chain. What mountains are those in the east? The Appalachian Mountains, that's exactly right. So the Appalachian Mountains were formed when these plate tectonics pushed up. And as the Appalachian Mountains were formed, all of the water that was in this area ran off of the Earth's surface. And when that happened, this was what was left in the area.
Oh, yeah, maybe.
The whale in the wall. See the mouth and the eye and the tail? The whale in the wall. Isn't that pretty neat? We have a whale right here in the Hocking Hills. That's pretty neat. While you're here, standing here, look up. See the head of the eagle? This is one wing. That is the other wing.
Yeah.
This is called Eagle Rock.
Okay.
So you have the whale in the wall, and then above it you have Eagle Rock.
Okay.
So the two different features right here, Eagle Rock and the whale in the wall. So as you can see, at one time these rocks here was up above, and it was like a chain reaction. One fell, and it went bloop, 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 all the way down the line. They fell. They could no longer hold their weight up above. So as one fell, they all fell, and the same down here. So we had a couple different chain reactions going on here. So the upper one fell and the lower ones fell. Okay, and those are both examples of slump blocks.
Do you think that happened at
When did this happen, did you say?
Two different times. Two different times.
Like
Yep.
a long time
Yeah.
ago?
Yeah. Probably. Yeah. Several years ago. Several years ago. Yeah. Yep. Yep. Yep.
Pictured
So,
rocks.
I want you to notice this is the Sphinx head.
Okay.
Okay? Yep, you see it? You see the Sphinx head? Now, over the years, it has changed a lot. Now he's got a tree growing out of the top of his head here. You can see the nose and the chin of the Sphinx head. And it is just a natural feature cut out of the rock. Nothing we've done. Nothing we've done. Kind of like the whale in the wall or the eagle rock, it's just natural feature. So now, we are in Old Man's Cave. And Old Man's Cave gets its name from a hermit that made his way from Virginia up to the Ohio River, and his family settled on the Ohio River and created a trading post there. And he and his brother would spend time on the tributaries to the Ohio River trapping, and eventually he made his way, Richard Rowe made his way into this area. There's some debate. Some people say Richard Rowe, some people say Richard Runyon. Not sure yet which is which. So right now we're going with Richard Rowe, and he made his way up into this valley, and he was trapping, and he fell in love with the area. And he really didn't care for people too much. So, yeah, typical hermit, right? So he decided this was his home. This is where he wanted to be. But he would trap and go on back home on the Ohio River and bring his furs in and trade for the goods that he needed. And then he'd come right back here. And he lived right here in this cave. He would have a ladder to get down to the creek to get water. And he'd bring his water back up here, and he stayed right here. He had some friends in the area. He had some Native American friends. And his brother would come in and check on him once in a while. And over time, he just spent most of his time right here. Unfortunately, he met his demise right down here in the creek. He went down to get some water one day, and there was ice in the creek, and he used his muzzle loader and was chipping away the ice, and the gun went off and it shot him, and he died right there in the creek. And his brother and his Native American friend found him down in the creek dead, and they buried him just down the creek a ways, and that's where he was buried at, down just a little bit farther down. So.
Is there like a little...
No, there's no monument or anything. They actually found his body years and years later, digging around down there. They found his body down there. That's how they knew where he was buried at.